All right, just want to throw a video together. I know a lot of people have probably, there's a lot of these Ultimas out here. I have a 05 SE. This particular model goes from, I believe, 02 to 06 before the new body style. But I have, like a lot of people, the Bose system. And of course, I have upgraded my head unit to a half den Pioneer, but obviously I'm not big on factory setup. So, but the problem is that I think these Bose systems are apparently like 6 ohm or something strange. But anyway, when you hook the head unit up, if you just listen at low volumes, it's not bad. But when it hits this amp back here, it just does something to the sound when you start turning it up at a higher volume, and you could hear the bass die off. In the of course, in the door speakers, I've added this guy here. This is another one of my inexpensive eBay buys. That's a dual 10-inch Magnum box here. This was 75 bucks brand new, shipped to the house free. And of course, I'm kind of a particular on my bass, as I listen to mostly rock, so I just got a towel stuffed in that for the bass to be a little bit different. I'm not real big on the boomy bass, but trust me, it still plays the rap and stuff with the deep bass really well. And for 75 bucks, I would highly recommend this if you're not a fanatic. Like I said, I'm very inexpensive with my choices. So I've got this Alpine amp here, which is a MRP M500, you know, probably a couple hundred watts or something, not crazy. I got that at Best Buy probably 5 or 6 years ago. It was a open box, probably a return. I think it's at the time it sold for 200 bucks new, and I was able to talk them down to 100 out the door. And it's a good little amp. It's a nice fit for these 210s here. But for the longest time, what I was doing is I was just going ahead, I was just basically playing my head unit through this Bose amp back here, and I was tapping into this one 6x9 on this side, and I did have the high input using it for the signal on it, because the problem was if I used the RCAs like I have there now, I wasn't able to get any bass because of the way it sounded so bad when you cut it up past like 25-30. I think my radio will go up to like 50 or 60, but anything past around 30 or so just sounded horrible on the inside. And this amp doesn't really start, you know, putting out decent signal through the low inputs until you're, you know, 35, you know, and on up. So that was driving me crazy. So basically, to simplify things, there's 2 connections on the side of this amp when you get back here, and of course I made myself a lot of room back here by cutting a lot of this jacket back, because it helps you see the colors obviously pretty well. But this left harness has like your power, which is right here. I believe it's the yellow with the green, and then the black is the ground. And I was able to find the information online, and actually that's for the speakers, but you see right here, it tells you what everything is. Yellow with the green stripe is your constant 12, and I verified that with the test light just to be sure. But it tells you all your additional colors. And then the one that specifically I wanted to deal with today was the 4 speakers up front, the left, right in the front, and the left, right in the back seats. And those all come off of a single harness to the right of this one that I've got unplugged. And here's what's left of it. I've got one wire here that's still connected. It's a green with the white stripe, and I believe I think it might be listed on this one. I'm not sure. I think it I want to say it was like a oh yeah, I think it may be the antenna signal there on pin 5. But anyway, that's all that's left on there. I'm probably just going to cut that off and just completely remove this. But what I did essentially is all the signal coming from the radio is coming to this harness, and then all the speaker wires to go from this amp you know, it sends it through the amp, it gets amplified, and then it uses the same harness for different color wires to go back to the speakers. So essentially what I did was, using this sheet here, is I figured out, and it goes by speaker here, the white is your front left, and it even tells you the pin, although I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to that. But the white, and then the black is your front left, positive and negative. And then right below that, it tells you what it goes out in. See, it says out. And so essentially I just followed this diagram, and so everything that you see spliced here are the speakers coming, the speaker wires coming from the head unit up front, and then they're spliced into directly to where they go, where the speakers go. And I'm basically bypassing this amp and this funky 6 ohm situation that I think is what's probably, I'm pretty sure, is killing the noise. And so it sounds phenomenally better. Now I have to turn the deck up a lot louder, which I don't mind, but that's where the amp really starts putting out some decent signal. And now I'm able to use my bass controls, because the bad thing about using the high input tapping in off of one of these 6x9s is you can't use your bass controls in your deck, because you're basically just tapping into one of the smaller speaker signals. So I wasn't able to use the subwoofer level up and down, the different frequencies, the 65 and or the 60 and 80 and the 120, whatever it is that you can kind of play with to get the sound you want. None of that I could use, so I was able to get this hooked back up with the low inputs, so I could use those. And so I'm really liking how it sounds now. So like I said, I'm going to cut that one wire that I believe is the antenna, just tape it off. And this is not really, I'm not really too worried about that looking pretty, because the next project, which I may do sometime in the summer, is replace this with a 5-channel amp. And then what I'm going to do is obviously run the mono side to these subs, and then the 4 channels are pretty much directly to the 4 channels that I have tapped up here. And because what I'm doing, because I wouldn't amplify the stock speakers, here's what the stock speaker looks like, and it's a tiny little magnet here. They don't sound bad necessarily, but you know, they're pretty light. This is probably better than some stock speakers I've seen, and still in actually good shape. You know, no problem with the surrounds. It's not your typical paper, some sort of cloth surround, but doesn't sound bad at all actually. But I've got some JBLs in there, and the JBLs, unfortunately, I bought these used. Like I said, I'm very cheap, but they're JBLs. I think they handle well over 100 watts. I think it's at like 170, but I'm not sure. I'll try to maybe put a link in there. But I found a guy on eBay that was selling them used. Obviously, that's why the sticker's missing on this one, but they look fine. And they sound good. I've only got one in so far. I've only bought 2 because I wanted to make sure that, you know, it wasn't going to be junk or anything. But I've got the one hooked up on the left side, on the passenger side over here, and I'll get this one hooked up. And of course, if anybody's ever owned one of these Ultimas, you know the dashes are complete crap. Mine's in several pieces. That's 2 of the pieces. I think the other vent is still in the dash. I do have one that's almost in perfect shape. It's got a crack right. All right, sorry about that. My camera ran out of memory, but basically I got a one that's in much better shape that I'm gonna eventually put a fold-in radio in, and I don't want to dare try to put this in and then take it out and put it in a couple times, because these things are so fragile. So that's what you get after you. That almost happened literally the first time I took mine out. So, but anyway, if you got anybody that has any questions, let me know. I'll see if I can post the link to the page that I got this information from. I basically printed it out, but it really is a lifesaver. And you know, if you're super serious about your stereos, obviously you're probably pulling your wires, you know, thicker wires and running them from scratch. But I didn't really, man, that's kind of a nightmare for me for what I'm into. I'm really not that super serious about that, so definitely not competing with this stuff here. So you know, just for me, it's just upgrading the speakers and throwing a little amplification on there, making it sound a little bit better. So, and there's the old Pioneer head unit I'm using. It's probably, God, it's probably 15 years old, but it does have USB capability. So I have an iPod in the glove box, and I bought a little cool little it's like a Bluetooth accessory that's actually plugged in back there, so I can actually I can Bluetooth to it. You can't see the songs and stuff on the radio, but you know, it's pretty cool. I can actually Bluetooth music for my phone. So, but if anybody has any questions on anything, just let me know. Just want to pass it along. Thanks.